What's up, What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's a very exciting day because we're going to be starting a new sketchbook. But in order to start a new sketchbook, we're going to need a sketchbook. So let's go do that.
Alright y'all, future me speaking. We're going on a little trip to Michael's to get a sketchbook. It's been a long time since I've even gone to Michael's because I do the majority of my art digitally nowadays, but I still like to sketch on paper. And I just finished my latest sketchbook recently, so I thought it was about time for a new one. I used to get these like tone tan sketchbooks, and I think those look really cool, and I used to get them a lot, but I'm just gonna keep it basic, and I'm gonna take the last one of these because we're devious like that. Alright, handing it off to Past Spencer now.
Alright guys, we're back. I ended up getting this Kansan Mixed Media 7x10 sketchbook. This is a brand I usually get. I feel like that doesn't matter too much. I don't know, paper's paper, you know? I would just keep in mind like what you're planning on doing with your sketchbook. So I usually just like sketch. Sometimes I use like markers or like inks or whatever. So this mixed media sketchbook, really any mixed media sketchbook should be good for that. But yeah, if you want to like do like painting, I might want to do like more research on that, but I feel like mixed media is kind of like a safe bet. I don't know, that's just my opinion. Do your own research. I also ended up getting a 7x10 sketchbook. I usually get, I think it's like a 12x9 sketchbook. But I usually don't sketch that big, so I felt like this was more appropriate for me. Like I was saying, there's kind of a couple of different ways you can approach a sketchbook. In the past, I've done like a lot of my finished drawings. That was mainly before I started doing digital art, or just when I did more traditional art. I'd like do like finished drawings with like inks, colors, everything. In more recent years, I've just used my sketchbooks to just like sketch, do a couple more refined sketches. So yeah, I basically started using sketchbooks as sketchbooks. I feel like there's not really a wrong way to approach a sketchbook as long as you're not drawing like furries or something. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get sketching. All right, so when starting a sketchbook, you're gonna have something that looks a little like this. It's gonna be the sketchbook, and you're gonna turn the page, and you're gonna have a blank canvas. Now, deciding what to draw on the first page of a sketchbook is a big deal. It kind of sets the tone for the rest of the sketchbook. And so yeah, big decision, and so that's not something I'm trying to do right now. So what I usually do is I just skip it and forget about it, like most of the problems in my life. But for real, when I'm sketching or when I'm about to like draw, I like to kind of just like warm up, just do like a couple like simple like doodles. And again, this isn't anything you have to do, this is just stuff that I like to do for how I like to approach sketching. So yeah, let's just do it. Alright, so we got a couple warm-up sketches here, nothing too crazy, it's just something fun I like to do. Another thing I like to do when I'm sketching is referencing other artists. I think the best way to get inspiration, at least for me personally, is copying other artists. No, but referencing other artists is something I totally recommend. I think that's probably the best way to get better. Just seeing what like professionals do, trying to like implement things other artists do into your own work, I think is a really cool thing.
And when I'm referencing other artists, I'm really trying to pay attention to the way they do things, because I think it's a great way to learn and take inspiration from. It's also nice because it takes some of the pressure off, because I'm not trying to come up with anything original or anything like that. So it's a pretty nice, fun, easy way to learn and get inspiration, I'd say.
Alright, so I got a couple sketches done here. I was referencing one of my favorite artists, Derek Loffman, for this. And you can see here that my second sketch I did with Wolverine. Wolverine looks very chopped in this. A sketchbook is a good place to get all your chopped drawings out. And now all you guys get to see this, so that's great. But yeah, let's do a couple more sketches.
And here I'm referencing more artists that I like. So here I'm referencing an artist named Kevin Shaw. I'm doing a Superman drawing, which you probably can't really tell it's Superman yet. But yeah, his art is really cool, and I've definitely taken a lot of inspiration from him in the past, and I think he's a good example of like someone you could take inspiration from, because he draws his characters with like really cool proportions in a way that like I wouldn't really have thought of, and it's something that I think I could apply to my art. And there's a difference between taking inspiration and stealing, like, you know, like directly copying. Like right now I'm directly copying, but I'm not like claiming this drawing to be my own, right? So yeah, you get my point. When I'm doing like a finished drawing, I'll like reference other artists, but I'm not gonna like completely like steal their work, you know what I mean? And so here I'm drawing this Ahsoka drawing. Here I'm referencing an artist named Patrick Brown. He's also a very good artist, and I highly recommend him. So yeah. And I was feeling pretty proud of this sketch, and I wanted it to stand out more. So one way that you could do that is by using inks. So I'm going over this sketch with inks, like inking pens, and I'm using these Tombow Fudensook pens. I don't know if I'm saying that right, and I forget if I've mentioned these pens on the channel before, but anyways, I really like them, and they give me like a nice bit of like flexibility, but they're also like surprisingly easy to use. I don't know, because I could get like nice line variety. I don't know, it's really cool. But yeah, I'm just inking over this drawing to make it stand out a bit more, and I think this turned out pretty good.
Alright, so we got some inks done. Another thing I like to do to make my sketches pop out a little more is using like just like a Sharpie and adding kind of just like a backdrop to the character. I think that really helps just like make your drawings pop out. So yeah, let's do that. I will say though, if you're gonna do that, make sure you have like a piece of paper to just like have behind it, unless you don't really care about your sketchbooks. But I like to do that just to make sure there's not a lot of, just to make sure there's not a lot of bleeding. I like to have a piece of paper behind. This kind of sketchbook specifically is usually pretty good about that, but you know, it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
Alright, now I'm going over this drawing with a Sharpie for like a backdrop. And something I forgot to mention is I also like to do like use like a white ink gel pen to like give like a little like highlight around the character. I think it looks cool. But yeah, anyways, here's our finished Ahsoka drawing.
Alright, so I'm pretty happy with some of the sketches I did today. The last thing I want to show you guys is we're going to go back to that first page that I skipped earlier, and I'm going to draw a Hornet from the new game Silk Song. This is going to be more of like a refined sketch. I'm going to use inks, colors, all the fun stuff. So yeah, let's do it.
So same deal with any of my drawings. I like just starting out with like a rough sketch, kind of just like blocking out the character. And like I said, this is more of a refined sketch, which some would argue it's more of a finished drawing, including myself. I feel like some artists will post the most like detailed masterpiece ever and put in the caption, "Oh, just a rough sketch." Like, dog, that ain't a rough sketch. Not that this is going to be like super detailed or anything like that. I am keeping this relatively simple, but yeah, anyways. I was feeling a little shaky when inking this drawing, and no, I wasn't nervous. I probably just had too much caffeine, but yeah, that's always a nice thing when drawing digitally, is that you can just erase anything. Here, it'd be pretty difficult to get rid of these lines, and I'm not trying to make it sound like I don't like drawing on paper. I really like drawing on paper. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think that's what drawing should be about. It's about having fun, but when I'm just trying to do like a finished, quote-unquote finished drawing, for me, I prefer doing digitally. If I was doing like a more like finished, refined drawing on paper, I'd probably try harder, honestly. But here, I'm just sketching, trying to have fun. I'm gonna add some colors here soon, but yeah, just keeping it pretty simple. Moving on to the colors, I'm using some Copic markers, but again, in your sketchbook, you can use whatever medium you'd like. Watercolor, gouache, even crayons if you'd really like. I forgot to get it on camera, but I used a dark blue marker to get the shadows on her cloak, and I'm using a lavender color marker to shade the white parts on her. Here, I'm just like tracing a little rectangle with a piece of paper to get like a little backdrop. Again, just to add some flair. And for the background, I'm using kind of like a greenish color I have. I think it counters the red pretty well. And yeah, I think it looks really nice personally. Alright, now I'm just touching things up with a pen, just making it look a little bolder. And I'm going to go back with a white ink pen, again, to make it just stand out just a little more. Well, I had a lot of fun with this drawing. It was fun doing like a finished drawing on paper again. It's been a while since I've done that. But yeah, anyways, here is my finished hornet drawing.
So yeah, that's just a couple things I like to do in my sketchbooks. Again, I am kind of more of a digital artist, but I still think it's a lot of fun sketching on actual paper. I'd say even if you do more digital art, it's still a good habit to get in your sketchbooks and just sketch a little. Make sure you give this video a like and subscribe. Sorry I haven't posted in a long time. Life gets busy and I get lazy. It's been a second, but I'm really glad to be back. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out.